Item number 10.
Proclamation recognizing May 10th, 2018 as Adopt a Pet Day in El Paso County. Peggy, Littleton, Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners.
I would like to move the following proclamation recognizing May 10th, 2018 as Adopt a Pet Day in El Paso County. Whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region and El Paso County have a long-standing public-private partnership to provide for the health and safety of animals and people in our community, and whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region is leading the effort to build a compassionate community where animals and people are cared for and valued, and whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region saves the lives of more than 21,000 homeless, abandoned, and abused pets every year through innovative programs and services. And whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region investigates and prosecutes animal cruelty and neglect, giving a voice to animals in need. And whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region remains committed to ending animal suffering and putting health and safety of animals and people in our community first and foremost. And whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region offers low-cost spay and neuter surgeries and vaccinations for pets in the community, and whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region focuses on humane education to teach compassion and empathy for all beings, and whereas the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region is recognized and trusted as a pet resource for Southern Colorado, seeking strategic partnerships and alliances to advance the welfare and protection of animals and people. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners recognizes the dedication of the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region and that they have for the region's animal and for their people, and proclaim that May 10th, 2018 is Adopt a Pet Day in El Paso County, Colorado. Then this 10th day of May at Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Darryl Glenn, President, Mark Waller, President Pro Tem, Stan VanderWerf, Lojinos Gonzalez, and Peggy Littleton, members, attested to by Truck Borman, who is our clerk and recorder.
Second. Oh, who's going to be shy?
Jan.
Well, thank you very much for honoring us today with that proclamation and helping to spread the word about the adoption of homeless pets in our community. As you know, the Humane Society is a nonprofit organization, and we are really proud of the partnership we have, the public-private partnership in providing animal control services as well as sheltering for El Paso County. And as you said, last year, we took in over 19,500 animals in our shelter, and we're entering into our busy period where we may have 500 animals a day in our facility. And so we're counting on our community to be able to come in, either reclaim their lost pets, adopt animals, and we also are depending on our wonderful volunteers who make our programs possible. As an open admission shelter, we practice socially conscious sheltering, so making sure that the animals have the best care, that we don't allow suffering, and that our community is safe. And we're very dedicated to that. And I want to recognize our staff today, who some of them are here today. We have Gretchen Presley, and we have Katie McDivitt. Who are our communication group, but we have lots of folks who are our animal law enforcement officers who are out in the field today. They handle over 20,000 calls for the county and assisted the sheriff department with 1,200 calls last year, including, the 7 fires that we've had in the last few weeks. Our officers and our volunteers have been out there helping to rescue animals from their home and to bring livestock to safety. So we're really grateful for our volunteers. We have Betsy VanderWerf here today. She's one of our volunteers, and we have our board of directors. So Carla Alberts, Victor Andrews, Lindy Eads, Kevin Perry are our board members, and they promote the strategic planning for our organization and make sure that we stay strong as an organization for our community. So we know that people and pets are better together. And that's really the goal of our organization, is to help people and pets stay together, either by providing veterinary care or to help animals that can't stay with their families to find new families. And I want to introduce our special guest today. This is Winnie.
Hi, Winnie.
Come on up, Winnie. Winnie is a 6-year-old dog. She unfortunately had to be relinquished by her family because they could not afford veterinary care. She had infection in both of her eyes. Our veterinary team removed both of her eyes, and she is doing wonderfully. She's just had surgery a few days ago, and I think there's somebody who was in the audience earlier interested in adopting her. So
Nice.
who knows? We can only hope that that's the case. But she's just one of the examples of the thousands of animals that are coming into our shelter that are receiving veterinary care that they need to be prepared to go into a new home. And so again, thank you to the county commissioners for your support, for our partnership in providing safety services for animals and protection for animals and for the people. And thanks for promoting today that people can be better together by having a wonderful homeless animal in their household. They bring us unbelievable joy. They bring us compassion and just endless love. And we're so lucky to have a community that is incredibly pet friendly, and we hope to keep it that way. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Waller.
Thank you. All right, I guess, are we gonna,
Anybody else?
Does anybody else? Because we have
Carla,
plenty
Betsy?
of comments.
No.
I'm expecting one on the end here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, we got our cat Stan from the Humane Society about 4 or 5 years ago. Sorry.
I really like the name of that cat.
It is great. He's a great cat. Got him there 4 or 5 years ago, but I want to tell a story that doesn't involve Stan. I want to tell a story about our previous cat. You talked about one of the missions and goals of the Humane Society is keeping pets with their families. We had a cat prior to Stanley. His name was Curio, and we brought Curio to this community with us when we moved here from the military. And we'd been here for probably about, 10 or 12 years. Curio ended up passing away at 18 and a half years old. But a few years before he passed away, he got out of the house, and we didn't realize that he'd gotten out of the house, and he went missing. And we were just absolutely beside ourselves about, what to do with Curio missing. We walked the neighborhoods. We did all the stuff that you're supposed to do. We called the Humane Society and left a message, hey, if this was before chips and all that stuff. And so kind of left a message, and, if our cat shows up, we are definitely want to get him back and all this. And so we get this call from this lady at the Humane Society, and I had no idea who she was, don't remember her name. I mean, this was several years ago. And this lady says to me on the phone, she says, this is kind of weird, but describe your cat's personality to me. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking? My cat's personality? She says, tell me, what kind of cat? Is he neutered? Does he stay in the house? Does he like people? Does he interact with other animals? And so we sort of go through about a half hour of, I'm not kidding, a half hour of talking about Curio's personality.
Do you know that much about your wife?
She asked me about the other pets in the neighborhood and things like that, and she says, okay, here's probably what happened to Curio. Curio probably got into it with another one of the cats that live in your neighborhood, and he got chased off. And he's probably hiding in somebody's garage, a storm sewer, something like that. So don't give up hope that you're not going to get Curio back. And she told me at the time, I don't know if this statistic was true or she was just telling me that to make me feel better, but she says, look, you still stand about a 50% chance of getting your cat back within the first 30 days of him being missing. So don't give up hope and continue to try to look for him. And when you're putting up signs, put them up around the drainage culverts, around the places where they could hide, because you're probably out there calling for him, but he's not going to come out because he's too scared to come out right now. Sure enough, turns out that Curio, and for 10 days, Curio was missing from our family, and we thought there is just absolutely no way we're going to get him back. But sure enough, because we stayed after it, because of the encouragement we got from the Humane Society and this person who understood our cat's personality, we were actually able to recover Curio. And I've been thankful to the Humane Society for that ever since. And, he ended up getting to live a good, long, healthy, and productive life. Like I said, made it to 18 and a half years. So really appreciated that.
And that gave him comfort to adopt Stan.
You do the right things. If you're a Stan in my life, you do the right things, you get treats. So
Who wants to follow that? Commissioner VanderWerf.
I want to see if we can find a dog whose name is Waller, and then we can adopt that.
Just to name it.
There
we
you
go.
If I might, yeah, thank you. I just want to thank the Humane Society for all the great work that you do in this community, and really is huge. I mean, there's a ton of things you do. The numbers are amazing just to themselves. But then, of course, you're providing a lot of services as a private nonprofit that in some communities are done publicly, and I'm not always sure those are always done the best way publicly, but because you are a private nonprofit, this gives you a lot more flexibility and to be a lot more innovative. And it's clear that innovation has been successful and very, very helpful for our community. So I personally want to thank you all for all of that. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention a little bit about my wife and my daughter, because Betsy, who is with you today, and my daughter Carolyn are both longtime volunteers at the Humane Society. They spend a huge amount of time there, sometimes doing fun work and sometimes doing work that isn't so fun. But that's what the volunteers do. So I just think it's great. And my little story is when I first met Betsy many years ago, she was a package set. She had a miniature schnauzer, and I was not a dog person at the time. But if I wanted to marry Betsy, I had to marry the miniature schnauzer Mitzi as well. So, but I tell you what happened to me is from then to now, I have since grown to love dogs, to really see the connection between dogs and other domesticated animals and their connections to humans and people. And it's really interesting to see that. It's really just basically, if you take care of one of these pets, it is just unconditional love coming back to you. And that's very, very interesting to see that. So, our pets, our animals, they're parts of our family. And they're parts, they are a part of what makes humans to have this interaction with these other animals. So again, thanks very much for all you do. Great day, Adopt a Pet Day. Thanks.
Commissioner Littleton.
Thanks. So, well, I usually wouldn't say this, but since Mark started off this way today, as I was going through pictures with my mom and dad a couple of years ago, as their health was declining, I came across a picture of my dad with a pony. And I was like, well, tell me the story of the pony. He goes, well, the pony's name was Peggy. And I'm like, seriously? He goes, but we didn't name you after the pony. I'm like, well, thank God, okay? So I'm not named after the pony Peggy. So I just want to thank you guys, and I'm going to intentionally say this. So Betsy, thank you so much. Betsy is, I will say this, that Stan is the husband of Betsy, volunteer for the Humane Society, who's well known, and thank you for all of your work there. Carla Albers I've known forever and ever, and she and her golden retriever go everywhere with her therapy dog, and I can only imagine the magic and the joy she brings to the Humane Society. So, thanks.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
I just wanted to thank everybody for all the great work you do. I don't think I can compete with any of those stories, so I'm not even going to try. So, but thank you and God bless.
Yeah, I too. Only thing I want to add is, we're coming up next month on the 5-year remembrance of the Black Forest Fire, and if people don't understand the relationship that people have with animals, if we go back and you think about that, I mean, it's like we will not leave our home without a plan of action for our pets. So your mission goes beyond this recognition. We greatly appreciate everything you're doing in this region and other regions. So thank you very much. Any final comments before we vote on this? Okay, I will call the roll then. Commissioner Littleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner VanderWerf?
Aye.
Commissioner Waller?
Aye.
President votes aye. That passes unanimously. We'll stand in recess for a picture. Thank you.